All right, on today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, game one in the books, and it goes the Avs' way, a 5-2 win over the Los Angeles Kings in LA, and that's exactly what you wanted to see out of the Avalanche, and that's exactly how you wanted to start off this season. We'll get into everything. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. Make sure to follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Definitely subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that is in the show notes below. When you do, you chat with Kyle and I one-on-one and have your thoughts read on episodes. All right. You can see by our rundown if you're watching over on YouTube, we will get to our sound check. The sound check is back, everybody. We'll explain what that is if you're new a little bit later. And everything else is going to be about this game against LA, a 5-2 win. What I liked, there's a lot that I liked. But what I really liked was when things were tilting in LA's way, LA seemed to get their legs back or just find their legs. Not that they got them back, but they just started to find their legs. Ice was tilting a little bit. They got that goal at the end of the second, literally at the end of the second. It was a fluky goal. Last year's Avalanche team would have had trouble putting them away. This year's Avalanche team, just based on one game, that's what you want. You don't let it get out of hand. You take the momentum back and you just put the team away. There's a lot to get to, but that obviously stuck out to me.
Yeah, this is a word we used sparsely last year. It was a word that we used a lot during the Cup run season, but confidence. There was something about this team that you just, no matter what was going on, no matter how many whistles were blowing, how many goonery fights and shots after the whistle, you never felt like this game was going to get away. And I think that you could chalk that up to the veteran presence that now composes this roster top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Things are not like when it came to that fight, that was LOC going after the fight. That's one of the young guns.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to composure, this team acts like this is business, like they are going to work. And they're not as emotional as they were last year, and their composure and honestly, that last goal for the Kings, Cale scored it because he's such a nice guy. He scores for us and he scores for the Kings. But like you felt really confident in this team, and I really am excited to see what they look like against the Sharks and if this is something they can build on or if this was the emotions that we were accustomed to last year.
Yeah, I mean, the top line just looks scary good. Scary. The top line looks great. They just look unstoppable. The power play looks really good.
Penalty kill, though.
The penalty kill looks phenomenal. I was kind of having fun tweeting about Ross Colton. He was exceptional on the penalty kill. What were they? 0 for
5?
Was it 0 for 5? I think it was 0 for 4. It was 0 for 5. So, fantastic penalty kill. What were they on the power play themselves?
1 for 3.
Okay, but they all looked good. They all had great opportunities in all those power plays. So, I really think we were talking about this, like from top to bottom, they should be able to roll out all 4 lines. They kind of were not doing that. With the Curtis McDermott line, didn't get a lot of minutes. I don't want to have a downer here, right? That's the one downer is I don't know. I still don't understand why he's there if you're only going to give him 2.5 minutes in the game. But all those other lines, like they were noticeable. Yes. Clearly the top line was noticeable. The second line was noticeable. The third line, we were so looking forward to this third line. Man, yeah, Miles Wood is going to be a favorite. That guy just doesn't quit. He's got a speedy motor on him, and he just finds the puck. And he's not the most natural with the puck, but he's going to fight for it. And I think he knows like his limitations with the puck. So he'll do what he can to find the other guys. He'll do what he can to find Tatar and find Colton. But not to say he doesn't have any offensive ability at all. But when you work that hard and you outwork your opponents that hard, that pays off. And you're going to see some goals during the course of this year, just based on those hard-working grunt goals from him. So he was fun to watch.
Yeah, and it was something that you heard, like if you were doing just the follow-up on when Miles Wood came in, that's what New Jersey Devils fans were just screaming. This is a hardworking lunch pail guy, and you saw it. And coupling him with Ross Colton, I honestly, they're going to be like fan favorites the way Donskoy and Burakovsky were when they were together. Like you just love their play and like going out there, hurting your wrist, getting sprayed, getting back out there, like nonstop. Like it's like that's what you want to see. And like, yes, that second line didn't show up like you anticipated because they're still kind of talking about that chemistry.
I thought they were fine.
I
thought they were fine.
That top and that third line were very, 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 very good. And like we were talking on yesterday's episode, you don't need every line to play 100%. And that was evident. You didn't get anything from the fourth line. And that second is still getting there. Like Nichushkin was out there, everybody. Did anybody notice? Nope. Okay, good.
I mean, he had some moments. Like he's such a big body, you're always going to notice him. But yeah, I mean, he wasn't making like the typical Val Nichushkin moves, but I think he'll get there. He'll get there.
Yeah.
But I didn't think he played poorly at all. The thing that really kind of also stood out to me in the first period was the forechecking from the Avs was phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
In the first, they kept the puck in. Like again, I think we're gonna do this a lot this year. Is compare this team to last year's team.
Yeah.
Because last year's team, it was just like, with the exception of Nichushkin, who's always going to be a forechecking monster. Lehkonen does too. But it seemed just everybody has bought into that. And if they turned the puck over last year, everybody else would go back and they just leave it up to Nichushkin to just put a little pressure on the opponent. And everybody, like they were clogging up the neutral zone and they were getting LA to turn the puck over. You knew that's tough to sustain for a full game because the other team makes adjustments, and the Kings did. But in the beginning, they were setting the tone of, we are going to be on you and not give you a lot of space, which kind of the Avalanche are known to do. Like they'll just going to get back on defense, protect their goalie, and then just go through the motions and hopefully, get the puck back and then go back up the ice. But in the beginning, they were forechecking brilliantly. And again, like having LA turn the puck over, sometimes in the defensive zone and in the neutral zone. It was just a really good first period. I thought it was an even first period. I don't think LA had a terrible first period. I think they even outshot them. But I looked up on Money Puck after the first. They outshot them. I think it was 11-9, but no high danger shots for LA in the first. So they were as well as they were forechecking and putting a lot of pressure on that. When LA did get into the zone, they were still protecting their goalie and giving Georgiev good lines of sight to make saves. So it was a pitcher perfect first, and then you had the lead, and then it starts to change, and that's kind of expected when you have a good team. They're going to make adjustments. They came back, and the Avs just stopped it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the defense. Everybody looked good. Jack Johnson was in your first game of the season form where he shows up and you won't see him again for the rest of the year. But like other than Sammy G overskating that one puck, he looked great. Taser and Kale. Well, Kale's Kale. I mean, come on. He's
right.
He had that feeling that he's going to a whole nother level this year. And I'm excited to see where that goes. But the defense, other than Manson, because I don't know what he's still in a weird spot. He's playing all over the place.
I thought he was okay. I don't think he was not like I don't think he made any like genuine massive mistakes. He made a couple really good defensive plays, but that's what you're going to get out of him. And Jack Johnson, you know, he I'm not going to say he's responsible for that one goal that the Kings had, but he kind of, I remember who, like he kind of checked him into the boards, but just fell on his butt. And the guy in the Kings didn't go down. And he was just, because of that, Johnson had to get up. The guy just kind of went in front of the net and scored a goal. If he stays on his feet and stays with the guy, maybe that goal doesn't happen. So, but Jack Johnson did draw a penalty. He, you know, a tripping penalty. So you like to see that. And he was humming into the offensive zone when that happened. So yeah, the offensive dynamo of Jack Johnson draws a penalty, a tripping penalty.
Sit down, Nathan MacKinnon. We got Jack Johnson.
I will say this. Well, I'm going to make people wait on that because I think there was one guy who I thought had a rough game, and I was thinking of it, and then he had a really rough third. He just didn't look right. Stick around for that. We'll get to that in a second here. But first, we are going to hear from FanDuel, and the FanDuel Sportsbook. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. And I hesitate to say throw that on the Denver Broncos, especially Thursday night. I know Kansas City isn't playing that well, but you know Kansas City is going to turn it up for a team that is struggling.
And Taylor Swift will be there.
Is she going to be there? I mean, I wasn't going to tune in anyway because the Broncos. No, I'm kidding. I will watch the Broncos no matter what, but I'm not expecting anything. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. It's secure. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get in on the NFL season. That's FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. All right. So who do you think I'm going to say?
I know exactly. I thought about it about 3 seconds into the ad. I was like, oh,
who
is this going to be? Can I take Bo Byram for 500, please?
You'd be right. I thought Bo Byram struggled. And he just looked off to me early on in the game. He wasn't moving as quick as you normally see him. I don't know if that hit from Vegas has, left him a little clouded in his head. I mean, they say he seems to be fine from that. Whatever it was, I don't know. He just looked slow to me. And I don't say he was making bad decisions with the puck, but he just wasn't confident with the puck. And then you had the third where he commits those two penalties. The first one definitely deserved that. That was a bad, dangerous penalty. The one he came out and then like 2 minutes later commits another one. That one was a little bit questionable. That one, I mean, they called him for boarding on that. I thought that was a fine hit. If you're not going to call boarding on what happened to him in Vegas, how are you going to go call that one against him? That one didn't make sense.
It's been a long time since I've seen a 2-minute boarding call.
Yeah,
usually those are fives and a sussy. So
they can be, yeah. But I don't know. Overall, I thought he had a tough game. I think he battled through it. But if there's one kind of downside to the Avs, it would, or one down, player that I didn't think played as well as they could. To me, it was him. It was him.
And I honestly agree with you. It was very uncharacteristic. And that whole sequence were coming out of the box and then doing the 50-50, like shoulder to shoulder. Like the broadcast did everything in their power to explain a left-handed shot and a right-handed. I didn't care. It was still dicey. And you don't want to do that after taking such a egregious penalty. It just did not feel right. And he was playing a weird game that was just not typical Bo Byram.
Yeah. You had that one, the Byram check was dangerous. The Pierre-Luc Dubois almost going knee to knee with Olofsson.
P.L. Dubois, please.
What's his new name? Yeah. What is that? Is that what we're doing now? Okay.
The artist formerly known as Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Fine. Whatever you want to be called that's fine. Okay.
More like
That was
PL
dangerous.
do what? He was
Yeah.
nothing. He was nothing
And
that whole game.
so, and you could tell he was doing that out of frustration.
Yeah.
But you could really, really do some damage to someone's career if he really connected on that with Olofsson. And what really annoyed me was the TNT broadcast glossed over it so many times because they were too concerned with showing the family of what's
Lafreniere.
I keep wanting to say
Lafreniere.
Lafreniere, because he's a rookie. This was his first fight that he got into, and he kind of headlocks and rolls over Logan O'Connor, and the family goes crazy. Let's show that a dozen times and just briefly show someone recklessly going after someone's knee and trying to knee him and deliberately injure him. That really kind of annoyed me and I like TNT and I think they do a good job, but they got a little carried away with showing the family over and over and over again when 30 seconds earlier someone's career could have ended.
Chris, my friend, do you remember the crossover episode we had with the host of Locked On Kings?
Yes, it was not that long ago.
Do you remember what was said about the Department of Player Safety and what happened? A kneeing incident from the Kings. 2 preseason games, 2 regular season games. What do we see on opening night? A kneeing incident. Nothing came of it, thankfully. But what is going on with the knees?
I don't know. They did hand out another 2-game suspension in another game in the first game. Who was that? I'm blanking on who it was now. It was
a Leaf.
Was it a Leaf or was it someone in Tampa? I can't. Whatever. It was one of them. Doesn't matter. Yeah. But they did. They handed out.
It wasn't 4 because that's what stood out to me. It was a minor suspension.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wonder if they're gonna if they're gonna be consistent with this. Maybe that's something that they look into. I don't know.
And and that was also shortly after I haven't seen this since playing a video game. The taking the late puck. Like,
I need a thumbs up there. Did you see that?
I don't know.
No, I don't know. How'd that what was that thing?
The spirit? I don't know what that was. But
that was awesome.
No, but after the whistle blew and taking the shot at Georgiev after the whistle, the knee came in, and it was like, oh, are they going to dictate the pace of this game and being just kind of goons? This is where McDermott came from, by the way. So, like, it's weird. It was a weird tonally, and it kind of goes to the grittier style of the Avalanche composure this year.
Yeah,
like there was not a lot of people biting on that either.
No, and they even had that one where LA was called for a penalty, and then like a solid 5 seconds after the whistle blew, they fire the puck in the net, and then everybody just kind of like starts, just a little tussling. Who's standing on the outside of that pile? Curtis McDermott. And I'm like, bro, like this is what you're there for. It's that specifically, and he wasn't mixing it up.
He doesn't even know what he's there for.
Yeah, I don't know. To get back to the top line just for a minute, the first goal of the season is the 3 of them.
Yeah.
2 assists, or on the play, 1 to Drouin, 1 to Rantanen. MacKinnon gets the goal. And how that goal was set up is, man, that these 2 guys have been playing for a while. Yep. Because Rantanen was behind the goal, and I don't want to say anybody else, but a lot of people, because MacKinnon started on the left-hand side of the goal, as did Rantanen behind the goal. And most people would just stay on that side and just kind of skate towards Mikko and hope to get the pass. MacKinnon skated on the other side. He just drifted to the right side of the net. And MacKinnon just knew it was going to be, because there's a lot of open ice over there. So he just went over there and then fired the puck back on the other side of the net. It was just a thing of beauty. And these guys have been playing together for a long time. It's like he knew he was going to do that. It was picture perfect to have your first goal of the season like that.
Yeah, and for that to be the first goal of the season, I now stand for getting rid of the preseason altogether, because we don't need it. Nathan MacKinnon and Mikko Rantanen were in super shape and ready for this game. And that first goal was gorgeous.
Beautiful. And then you had the pass from Nathan MacKinnon over to Cale Makar. And that was on a power play. That was the one power play goal that they did get. And that needed to be quick. It needed to be on point because the puck was coming to Nathan MacKinnon, who was at the blue line. And it wasn't passed to him crisply. It was kind of just floating along. So it's not like he could collect it because there was going to be a guy right on him. He just had to really quickly just snap it right over to Cale Makar. It was beautifully done. And Mikhail put it in the net. Those two goals were just gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
Tone setters. That's what they were. They were really tone setters for the way the momentum was going in that game.
Yep. So we will get to some stats and then our first sound check of the season. So we will get to that next. But first, we're going to hear from Sleeper and the Sleeper app. The NHL season obviously is finally here, Colorado Avalanche fans. And you can have the season we have been waiting for is finally upon us. We absolutely love the NHL, and we know that you do too. And that's why we want to tell you about the Sleeper app. And Sleeper is the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. And it's our go-to for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey. And with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash on daily fantasy. The NHL has never been more exciting than it is now. How can you not think that watching what you just watched with the Avalanche and other games? Really exciting couple days to the season so far, especially that Maple Leafs and Canadiens game. That was a lot of fun. If you
Brock Besser going off in Vancouver.
Yeah, there's great early start to the season for the NHL. You can just pick more or less on stats for stars like McDavid, Makar, MacKinnon, and you can pick those on stats like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more. And that's right, you can get 100 times payout on Sleeper. So start paying attention and get your picks right, and you could win big. So use the promo code Locked On NHL, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's Locked On NHL as the promo code, and you can see the Sleeper terms of use for details. All right, before we get to our sound check, just wanted to go through the stats here. So shots on goal, Avs by 1, 37-36 over LA. Hits, Avs out hit them 24-17. Faceoffs were just about even, 31-33 in favor of LA. 1 for 3 in the power play for the Avs, 0 for 5 for the Kings. So we have the best power play in the league right now.
That's and probably awesome. The best penalty kill.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. Yeah, the best penalty kill. Yeah. Player stats. Let me get over here because the new NHL app is so fantastic. Colton with an assist, Drouin with the 1 assist. You had MacKinnon with the 1 goal and 2 assists. Rantanen with a 4-point game, 2 and 2 for him. Tatar with an assist. Miles Wood with that empty netter at the end, which is really good to see because you like when guys like him get a goal because they work so hard. When they get a goal, it's always good. Jack Johnson assist on the day. Cale Makar 1 and 1, and Devon Taves with 1 assist. And we haven't even mentioned Alexander Georgiev. I thought he was great.
Yeah,
thought he was great. I mean, that second goal really went off Cale Makar's stick, just kind of got redirected. Nothing really to do about the first goal, but I thought he was great.
Yeah, he was good to start the game and quickly escalated to great and finished that game out stellar.
Yeah, really did. What else was there in the? Yeah, that's really. I don't know. The downsides of things are just not there. There's not a ton. I didn't like Byram's game, but other than that, just little things here and there. But that's the nature of a hockey game. The other team is trying to. You can't forget that. So yeah, like how as good as things looked in the beginning, you knew that LA was going to get back into it, and they did. And as I started the show with that, because that is the biggest takeaway for me is the Avs didn't let it get out of hand. What do we talk about on the crossover with the LA Kings? it's, this game is never over because last year the Avs would always give up those leads.
Yep.
So you loved seeing that it was the swinging momentum was there and the Avs stopped it. You have to love that. You have to.
And going forward from here, if Ross Colton and Miles Wood can continue what they're doing, and I think now Jonathan Drouin, his passes are so incredible. I am loving his play. He's going to be the new Chushkin, and everybody's going to be cheering for him to get his first goal.
Yeah.
And I think each game that goes by, I think he's going to be also another fan favorite. So those are 3 names that could be. They're going to be big fan favorites.
He'll be a fan favorite if he has the type of year that everybody wants him to have, without a doubt. Because then everybody looks like a genius.
Yeah.
And that's someone that you root for. So yeah, if he can get things going, which he has already. What do you have? The 1 assist. So
yeah, and he's eliminated the question where it was put out earlier, like he's going to be on the top line, and there were questions. Has he proven it? After what you saw in that first game, yes, he deserves to be there.
They were fine. Yeah. All right. We usually end things with our Locked On Avalanche sound check. And if you're new to us, first of all, welcome aboard. And this is the 3rd year that we've done this. So what Kyle and I do is after every game, we each pick one song from the vast Spotify playlists that we can pick from that we feel best summarizes the game that was just played. We put these songs up on a playlist over on Spotify. This is volume 3. So volume 1 is already up. If you want to go follow that, volume 2 was last year. Last year was a couple year. Volume 2, volume 1 was a couple year. Volume 2 was last year with Vegas. Yeah. So this is volume 3. So go find it. Just search LOA Soundcheck. Should pop right up. Follow along. What do you got for today, sir?
Beginning of the season, it was scrappy. There was a lot of fights, a lot of chippiness. Come Out and Play by The Offspring.
How can you not love that? It's such
you
a good song.
You got to keep them separated.
You got such a good song. Such a good song. And they're still kicking around.
Yeah.
Still kicking around. And they've never, they have some good songs that I like, but they've never been a band that I go to and just, seek out and listen to their albums. But years ago, I was at a festival where there was 10 bands playing. Most of them were newer and they were there randomly. They were the best band by far. Yeah. How I was just saying, how Nathan MacKinnon and Mikko Rantanen have been playing because they just know where each other is. That was The Offspring.
Yeah.
They've been playing together for a long time. They sounded fantastic.
I love The Offspring. Yeah. Love them to death.
Good choice. For me, I'm kind of going in that same realm of it's the beginning of the year. So maybe this is less about the game. It kind of is because they won, but it's more or less, hockey is back. And that's why I went with the Cardigans. We all know the Cardigans. And that Love Fool song, which everybody knows that, but they are a good band. And they had another kind of semi-hit with a song called My Favorite Game. When you hear it, you probably will remember it.
Okay.
But that's what I'm going with because there's nothing better than this sport. There's nothing better than this sport. I wish it was run a little bit better. But as far as the game and the action, how can you not love what you just watched with the Avalanche? And like I said, some other games that are going around the league as well. It's a comforting feeling to know that, we have hockey for the next 6-7 months. That's awesome.
And we got 81 more wins to get.
Yeah. On pace for a perfect season. So, off to a great start. So like I said, definitely go follow that playlist over on Spotify. That's going to wrap it up for today, everybody. Comment away in the comments section. What did you like? Is there anything that you didn't like about the game? But overall, I think we have to be pretty happy with how that first game went against LA, even with Will Ferrell in the house, which you knew he would be.
It's always cool to see him.
Guy. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast, and we will see you tomorrow to end out the week.